In an exclusive NBC News interview today in Tehran with Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi, the Iranian leader told NBC Nightly News anchor and managing editor Lester Holt that Iran would decide how to spend the $6 billion of its oil revenue that the U.S. agreed to unfreeze in order to win the release of 5 Americans imprisoned for years in Iran. The White House insists Iran would only be able to use that money for humanitarian needs and that it would be monitored by the Treasury very closely. Here's the key exchange on that issue through a government translator that could risk fueling criticism or more criticism of the deal.
Do you believe you have the right to use that money in any way that you see fit?
This money belongs to the Islamic Republic of Iran, and naturally, we will decide, the Islamic Republic of Iran will decide to spend it wherever we need it. How to spend our money, of course, it is under the authority of the Islamic Republic of Iran.
So if I hear you clearly, that it will be used for more than humanitarian purposes in your view?
Humanitarian means whatever the Iranian people needs. So this money will be budgeted for those needs. And the needs of the Iranian people will be decided and determined by the Iranian government.
Joining me now is NBC News senior executive editor for national security, David Rohde, and NBC News national security and global affairs reporter, Dan Duluth. So, David Rohde, your initial reaction to the deal and to Raisi now refusing to commit to use it specifically for humanitarian funds. I guess part of this would be these totalitarian leaders reject any suggestion that they have to answer to the rest of the world. So part of that could be for domestic consumption, but he's not agreeing, and Lester followed up, he's not agreeing to the deal that was arranged and which was briefed to us in great detail just last month.
Yeah, I think he is addressing, on one level, a domestic audience and, showing that he's defying the United States. But I do think, he's more defiant than I expected. There's other elements of the interview that will be aired tonight on Nightly News where he, expresses no regrets for the violent crackdown that killed more than 500 protesters in Iran. So I'm surprised and just by his posture overall that he's this defiant at such a critical moment when there was some hopes that this prisoner exchange could lead to, an easing of tensions between the United States and maybe some real diplomatic progress between the two countries.
So, Dan, the funds, as you know, were frozen in South Korea. Their oil revenue that was frozen under sanction and unfrozen to get the release of these 5 Americans. You've been talking to their families. I have. We know they've been in prison for years, in Evin prison. They were released about a month ago under house arrest. And Lester did ascertain that they are in good health, according to the Iranian president. But it's supposed to be deposited in Qatar, in the Persian Gulf country of Qatar, in their central bank, and monitored by the Treasury, doled out, not all turned over at once, for humanitarian needs. The critics, of course, are saying money is fungible, and if they don't have to spend this kind of money, this X amount of money on food, they can buy drones for Russia or weapons to do other bad things with this money once they get it.
That's the criticism, right? That on the one hand, the money is monitored, it is tracked, it's in Qatar, it's not sitting in a bank in Tehran, and they can only use it for these items that are not under sanctions, for food or medicine. However, if you get $6 billion, that frees up other money. So obviously critics are honing in on that and saying, essentially, we're freeing up money that they would like to use for other purposes. But we should mention that every administration has these terrible dilemmas. What to do when you have Americans held in these kinds of countries, and there isn't a lot of leverage. And they did have leverage with this frozen money. So the argument they have is we had to use this leverage to get them out. But it is already becoming a real kind of lightning rod here in Washington.
It was already being criticized by some, but now this answer from President Raisi to Lester is creating more of a fuss. What's the White House saying about that?
The White House is basically kind of dismissing this. They're saying, listen, there's a very firm agreement here, and the money goes to the Qatar's central bank, and every transaction will be monitored by the Treasury Department. And I think David had a good point here, which is Iran's president doesn't really want to focus on some of the elements here that limit Iran's sphere of action. So he's spinning this a little bit for a domestic audience.
And David, as you mentioned also that this weekend is marking the first anniversary of Mahsa Amini's death, the Kurdish Iranian woman arrested by Iran's morality police, that's their terminology, for allegedly violating the dress code. Too much hair was showing. Lester asked Raisi about that this morning. I wanted to play this.
There are reports that the government has taken actions to quiet activists ahead of that date. Can you comment on that?
نه شما یقین داشته باشید جمهوری اسلامی ایران
You should be assured that the Islamic Republic of Iran has always been ready to listen to words of protesters on any issue. We are all ears. And those who intend to abuse Madam Amini's name under this pretext to be an agent of foreigners to create this instability in the country. We know what will happen to them, and they know that endangering the security of people and security of society will create a big cost.
And David, as you say, he was much more aggressive about that issue.
Yeah, this is sort of right out of the authoritarian playbook that, you know, these were the largest demonstrations since the revolution, since the establishment of the Islamic Republic in 1979. Hundreds of thousands of Iranians on the streets, women leading these protests, young women, you know, taking headscarves off and risking, you know, their lives in the process. And his response essentially was to, you know, dismiss them as foreign agents. And I just don't think that's an accurate reflection of Iranian society and the opposition that this current government faces. Dan knows more about Iran than I do, but I'm just surprised again by the tone of the response. And it showed, you know, I think this is the type of person that Iranian protesters face, who will sort of deny the use of violence. At one point, he told Lester that there's a free press in Iran and people are free to say what they want, and that's just false.